Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining me from. Today we are at Global AppSec Europe 2026 in Vienna, and we're glad to have Steve Springett with us, who's the current chair for OWASP Global Board. Thank you so much for joining me, Steve.
Well, thanks for having me, Vandana.
Yeah. Steve, you've been doing so much for OWASP and open standards.
Mm,
I know you've been involved with the dependency check. You are part of Cyclone DX, and you do so much.
mm.
So I think I still don't know enough. So we want to know more about you, what you're doing, and what are the projects that you're running.
There's a lot. As you know, the OWASP does have a lot of projects. Cyclone DX itself has over 70 repositories at this point, so it's more than just a specification. There's libraries and all kinds of other implementations, examples, etc. Dependency track, we just had a major release, version 5.0 that came out. Uh, Unfortunately, I haven't had the chance to touch dependency track code in a few years. So Nicholas Dooster has kind of been leading the architecture for that. Cyclone DX has been essentially consuming a lot of my time. And then of course, all the board duties and everything else. But yeah, for me, it's really about just trying to move the needle forward, whether it's my work on standards or working on, products like dependency track or making contributions to the global board and trying to move that direction forward.
That's amazing. And you mentioned about board. So you are the current chair. What are your strategies for the coming year for the board?
Yeah, you can edit that part out. We have five pillars within the strategy document. The strategy document was interesting. It was the accumulation of essentially the last 5 or 6 years of different boards that have came together and originally all the document was a mind map. So it was a mind map. And last year's board, we were able to take that and take that mind map and really put some words to it. And we worked with OWASP staff to make that document readily available to the community. And no surprise, fundraising is our number one strategic initiative this year and in the future. But when it comes to fundraising, we want to make sure that a lot of the fundraising that we do is in fact diversified. The overwhelming majority of our revenue today comes from global events. And we're essentially in the same kind of position as we were pre-pandemic when it comes to how we get our revenue. And obviously, we during the pandemic, we suffered a lot financially as an organization. So we're looking at different ways to de-risk ourselves from that model, as well as other revenue streams that we could potentially do. Um, One example is the commercialization of a for-profit entity. It's a very similar model as the Mozilla Foundation does with the Mozilla Corporation. The Mozilla Corporation, for example, exists to get monies from both Google, Apple, and a few other companies to essentially fund the foundation and the ongoing mission of the nonprofit foundation. We're looking at a very, very similar model um, where we would have different types of services that essentially would support OWASP projects, OWASP chapters, and a lot of the um, more boutique type of consultancies that exist within the OWASP community. And it would be a way to help sustain our projects, to help our businesses in the community, and ultimately help the mission itself. So that's one example, but there's many, many more examples of different types of diversification that we're working on.
Yeah, thank you so much. And especially for the freshers, for students, what's your purview on that?
Yeah, right now we have student chapters, for example, and while they do exist, I don't necessarily think that they're overly beneficial to students. unfortunately. I think student chapters, in my opinion, give the potential for these students to have a leadership position in the chapters. But one of the things that I tell people that are new to cybersecurity, whether they're a student or maybe they're changing careers and coming from a different career into cybersecurity, is go to your local OWASP chapter, right? Meet people, learn from people. The same people that you network with might actually help you in your career. If you focus specifically on student chapters, you don't really get that same networking effect that you do with more of the city chapters, which I think is a disservice to the student chapters in their current form. That's one of the things that the global board was debating during the closed board meetings today. And while we don't necessarily have a clear path forward, I think we do realize that student chapters in their current form could use some improvement.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Steve, for joining me today. And it's always inspiring to meet you.
Thank you, Vandana.